Welcome to mental toughness training. Do you know what I forgot? I was gonna Zoom this or I was gonna live stream this into our Facebook group, but I'll post the recording again. Um, for those of you who are catching us on the recording, be sure to make a comment. And we're gonna start out with last week we had the world class connects to the source through gratitude. How many of you either made the list of 10 things you're most grateful for in your life, or did some other way of um, expressing gratitude this week? And what did it do for your week? I would love to hear some of your responses on that. Denise, you're unmuted. Would you like to share something? Camille, you are too.
I didn't know I was unmuted. Pam. I wasn't at the training last week, so I didn't really apply it, but I mean, I always try to focus on gratitude. It just makes it easier to ride the bumps of the week.
Truth. Truth. Camille, did you have something you wanted to add?
Not no, but but I will. I agree that focusing on being grateful can change the way that you feel. And I had a really difficult day yesterday. I had a minor surgery last week, and so I had taken off a few days. And so coming back to all my cute middle school kids who I don't know if they were excited to see me or not, but some of them were giving me a run for my money yesterday and saying like, oh, stuff is different. And anyway, it was really, really challenging, but I realized as I just kind of went through the day and I was really frustrated with some of the things that had happened, I was really did focus on this gratitude piece because I thought, I'm really thankful for these kids. I'm thankful I have an opportunity to share with them and to, teach them. And, we learn a lot more than just math in
Right?
class. So it was a good opportunity for me to recognize how much I am grateful for the things I can do and for the work that I'm able to share with my students.
I love that. And I love that even on days when we feel maybe the least grateful during the day, taking time to just kind of look for the blessings and the opportunities in that really, really changes stuff. So I'm working with a coach right now who every night I'm required to send her 3 things that I'm grateful for. And that's been really good for me too, because some days I feel super grateful and some days I feel super grumpy. But adding those pieces of gratitude has been really a blessing. I do think, however, I was listening to Tony Robbins this week, and he has a method, a 10-minute like kind of meditation method, and one of the things in his morning method is gratitude, looking at 3 things that he's grateful for each morning and just placing the focus there. So I like that idea also of just like putting it at the beginning of the day and not only at the end. Okay, for this week, we have number 12, champions know adversity is the catalyst of mental toughness. So here we go. Champions believe if you remove the adversity, you remove the victory. As a result, they tend to view adversity as a challenge through which learning and growing occurs. Their worldview is evident in the way they describe the adversities they face. While average people choose a path of least resistance, world-class performers operate at a higher level of awareness. They understand that stress and struggle are key factors in becoming mentally tough. While average people watch television and hang out at happy hour, the great ones continue to push themselves mentally and physically to the point of exhaustion. Only then will you see them rest in recovery situations. Adversity to average people equals pain. Adversity to world-class performers is their mental training ground. It's how they become mentally tough. Average people scorn adversity. Those who are world-class don't welcome adversity, but they do see it as the ultimate catalyst for mental growth, as well as the contrast needed to recognize the beauty of life. So I love these two kind of go together, with the gratitude from from last time. But this was another thing that Tony Robbins, if you were any of you on Tony Robbins's free Time to Rise summit this weekend? It was really amazing. I think the videos are still up. It's quite a commitment if you want to do it, but there are so many good nuggets in every single session. It was just like really, really amazing. But that was one of the things that he really talked about, was that in order to, like, the first level of change is to change your physiology. And so he does a lot of things of like helping you to get into your body by, he has a lot of movement throughout his seminars. And I don't know if you've ever been to any of his stuff, but he'll have you get up and jump up and down. It's not because he wants to like hype you up about stuff, but I mean, kind of it is, but it's different because what he's teaching you is how to move your body to change your physiology so that you can start to change your circumstances in your life. So it's really, really quite fascinating. But he talked about this also, like, it's not like we go out and look for things that are difficult, but if there's something that that you are too afraid to do, or you would never do, or whatever, then you must. And that was one of the things that he taught, is like he recognized and he learned from his coach and mentor early on in his life that if there were things that he was afraid to do, he had to do them, because it meant that he had to move toward those things that would grow him and help him to become a better person. And that is the same thing as we are going through adversity. We can see that this is where we're going to grow. And if you look back at a time when you went through something really tough and you think about it now, probably you don't want to do it again necessarily, but if you can look back and see that, and I know this is true in my life, I look back at some of the toughest things that I've been through, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I had to learn the things that I learned. And I know I would not be the same person that I am today if I hadn't gone through those things. Like, I don't know if you look back in hindsight's 2020 and you like could have made better decisions or whatever. You couldn't have made better decisions because you didn't know enough to do it. That's number one. But the second thing is that you wouldn't be who you are today if you hadn't gone through some of those really difficult things. And so I hope you're able to look back with gratitude on that, and then also to face adversity as a catalyst of helping you to become more mentally tough. Okay, here is a quote. This is from Earl Campbell. He's a professional football player. He said, "If it weren't for the dark days, we wouldn't know what it is to walk in the light." Isn't that the truth? And then the action step for today: list the 3 most difficult adversities you have faced and 5 good things that happened to you as a result of each one. Train yourself to see the good in adversity, and your fear of future challenges will dissipate. All right. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? And I'll give you the world-class resource before we leave. Any thoughts about adversity? Mary, it looks like you've got some
I
thoughts.
do. Yes. Yes. It kind of goes with last week's point as well. Years ago, a friend had this horrific experience happen where just the whole situation was just like awful. People misunderstood, cops were called, and like it was just horrendous. And I went with a friend to a life coach, and we were sitting there, and after it was explained what had happened, the life coach said, "What a huge blessing that all those people were able to help bring up these old stories that you've been carrying in your life." And I just went, oh my gosh, that is such a great attitude to have toward adversity, and such a hard thing. And just ever since then, I've tried to carry that type of an attitude anyway, that, oh, this is a great opportunity to grow. But it brought in that sense of gratitude through the adversity, and just looking at things more in the, what an awesome opportunity and what a blessing. So
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Any other thoughts about adversity and how you have or wish you would face it or want to? Any commitments? Go ahead, Linda.
If you focus more on the positive, then as you grow and develop, things change for the better.
Have you seen that?
I've seen that in my life. I was always one that always wanted to whine about this and that. Well, if I would just get out and do my best, then I have learned from that, and it's such a blessing to me
Yeah,
that, you know, I can do it. I've had a, yeah. So,
I love it. I love it. And that is, I mean, just beautiful, absolutely beautiful truth right there is just you can
mhm.
do it. And when you were talking about wanting to whine and complain, if you've raised children, you know that often they have that feeling also that they'd like to whine about what it is that you're asking them to do and they'd like to not do it. And if you can hold steady and help them to see that they do have to do it in a kind way, of course, like don't turn into a crazy raging maniac. Oh, wait, none of us have ever done that. But the thing about it is that, your kids will learn. They come to a point where they start to realize it's going to be faster to just get the
Right.
thing done so that I can go do the thing that I want to do versus sit here and try to negotiate with mom. And so I hope that you have that kind of mental toughness and that you create a little bit of that adversity for some of your children because it's so good for them to realize just what Linda was just talking about, that it's better to just get out there and get it done and quit complaining about it because your life is just better when you just move in and do it. So, all right. Any other thoughts from anybody before I give you the world class resource for today? All right, here it is. This is the world class resource, and this is a great one. If you haven't read it, you should read it. This is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's the true story of how one man learned to control his thoughts, feelings, and attitudes as a prisoner of war, actually in a concentration camp. It is a classic. It should be part of every champion's library. And this actually is a book that we have in our library, and I've read it a few times. I haven't read it in probably 3 years. So maybe I'll pick it back up and listen to it again. I usually do all my reading on listening because then I can also do the dishes and drive and random things like that. But this is an excellent, excellent book. And when you hear the horrific things that were happening around him, and yet as he was looking at it, he began to really approach it in a clinical way to see what would happen, and it changed his experience, but it also gave so much insight to the rest of the world and anyone who would be willing to read his words. So that's the world class resource for today. Again, thank you for joining me. It's so good to see your faces, those of you who are able to hop on. Mary, did you have something you wanted to comment about that book?
Just a question. Can you say the name of the book one more time?
Yes, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor
Okay.
Frankl. And Victor is spelled
Okay.
Viktor. Frankel,
Okay.
Frankel.
Perfect.
Um, Excellent.
Awesome.
All right. If you are catching us on the replay, please comment below and tell us how your gratitude went last week, or if you're doing that now, because it sounds like such a great idea. And it does sound like a great idea, doesn't it? Tell us how you're going to face your adversity or times when you've been able to really face it and what you've learned and grown from that. And then I would love to hear when you start or when you finish Viktor Frankl's book. And it is not a super long read. You can read it in a week. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that next week if you do. All right. Thanks for being here. See you later.
Thanks.